steps of the veranda to the lush gardens of Nawab Manzil, especially in this sultry weather. So she remained reclining on her divan while a servant girl massaged her swollen feet. A moist green triangle of folded betel leaf, held in one delicate hand, waited patiently in the manner of a penitent waiting to enter the inner sanctum of a shrine, but unable to do so until a thick stream of expletives had first exited its confines like the teeming flow of passengers pouring out after a long and tiring train journey. The fusillade of curses ricocheted off the Haveli's ancient walls to reverberate in the green valley that gently curved upward into a hill. This wide swathe of open land abutted the aged boundary walls of the Begum Sultan Masjid and helped to contain the overflow of worshippers at the Eid prayers. Behind Nawab Manzil was one of Bhopal's oldest neighbourhoods, Shahjahanabad. It was essentially a maze of rutted stone walls, cobblestoned streets and narrow alleyways through which ice carts would ply, deftly manoeuvring past tribal Gond women hawking water chestnuts harvested from Bhopal's lakes early in the morning, which they carried in baskets balanced on their heads. The last lane of Shahjahanabad culminated in a cul-de-sac at the colonnaded arch of Nawab Manzil. The gardens lay sequestered beyond the pink sandstone walls. It was in these gardens, or rather in a specific guava tree, that Fatima had hidden herself. She was not eating guavas, they were out of season in any case, but nibbling on a Gond laddu, a special postpartum dessert to nourish nursing mothers and help eradicate unsightly stretch marks caused by pregnancy. Fatima had watched for weeks as the maidservants shelled and ground pistachios, melon seeds, almonds and cashew nuts before mixing them with jaggery, dry powdered ginger, coarse crushed cardamom seeds and ghee-fried popped lotus seeds before adding a small quantity of acacia gum to keep the fist-sized balls from crumbling. This time around, an extra quantity of the nutritious confection had been prepared, as there was not one but two expectant mothers residing at Nawab Manzil. A tall urn of the laddus had been lovingly placed between their amply pillowed daybeds and covered with a ceremonial pulkari coverlet, while important details of the imminent postnatal feasts were addressed. Fatima had seized this opportunity to fashion an impromptu pouch with the coverlet, filled it with laddus and made off for the guava tree with her lute. The entire household of Nawab Manzil did have a fairly good idea of where Fatima might be hiding. Everyone in Shahjahanabad had heard a story or two about Azizul Mulk Sardar Iqbal Muhammad Khan's willful daughter. They knew that the orchard planted by order of Sultan Jahan Begum in the southern half of Nawab Manzil Bagh was her domain, as was the back seat of her father's Rolls-Royce, which she would transform into a makeshift dollhouse whenever it was not in use. However, Nawab Manzil was a hive of activity in the relatively cool morning hours as it prepared for the impending double birth, and no one had the time to chase after the truant child. As it was the custom for a woman to give birth in her maiden home, Noshaba, Fatima's oldest sister, and Rabia Begum's firstborn, had been living with them for the last 6 months. Only 13 when she gave birth to her, Rabia Begum and Noshaba were more like close.